Hi guys, it is Miss Amanda at Rains with today's live video, and Fancy Faye is going to help with today's video. Faye is a halflinger who has been with our program for about 2 years, I believe. She is one of our driving horses. She's also our primary vaulting horse in Michigan City, and we use her a little bit for the riding program as well. So this is Fancy Faye, and she's helping with our video today. Faye wanted to give a special shout out to all of her students who she misses, especially Isabella and the vaulting team, and Nick, as well as everyone else who she sees every week. So Miss Fancy Faye is a typical example of our herd. And, we talked a little bit last week about how horses have changed so much. We're going to do another little history lesson today as well. So horses were not always in the United States. Early on, Eohippus, the tiny little horse that we saw the picture of Friday, they were in the U.S., but they went extinct. And there were no horses in the U.S. until the explorers brought them back. So we're going to talk a little bit about the age of exploration and horses and who helped find America and all of that. So we're going to start with a picture. This world map is what Columbus and the other early explorers thought the world looked like prior to his voyage. So this is what they thought it looked like. There is no north, or I guess I need to do it this way, huh? It doesn't flip for the camera. So Columbus and the other early explorers thought that there was no North and South America. They thought that if they came from Europe, they could go straight across the ocean to China. And they wanted to establish a trade route that would help them get goods and services from one place to another faster, spices, stuff like that, silks. So that's what they thought the world looked like. But then Columbus and other explorers found out that that wasn't really what the world looked like. The U.S. was in there. One specific explorer that we're going to talk about today is Cortez. And Cortez left Portugal, went to Puerto Rico, stayed there for a little bit, then Cuba, and then made his way to Mexico. And the reason we're talking about Cortez is because he was super important in horses, like Faye, coming back to the U.S. And we're going to talk more about that story in a minute. So he came to North America, and he landed in Mexico, and then he traveled inland, and he came all the way. This map shows a close-up of Mexico and what path Cortez and his guys took on his inland journey to conquer Mexico. Now, Cortez had a horse with him named El Mozilla. And El Mozilla ended up hurting one of his legs, and Cortez left him with the Aztec people while he continued on his journey. Now, remember, horses like Faye and all the other horses at Rains had been extinct in North America. So the Native Americans, the Aztecs, didn't know what the horses were, and they actually thought they were gods. So the Aztecs worshipped El Mozilla, and they left offerings and sacrifices, and one of the way they honored people super important was by giving them meat to eat, because that was harder for them to come by, super important. So the Aztecs, because they thought El Mozilla, who was Cortez's horse, was so important, they tried to give him honor by feeding him meat. But horses, like El Mozilla and Faye here, are herbivores, which means they only eat vegetables. So Almozia ended up passing away, and the Aztecs were so upset because they thought he was a god because they didn't know what horses were, that they built a whole monument that's still there as part of some of the ruins in Mexico. So that's a little history lesson today with Fancy Faye. Horses weren't always in the U.S. They came back with the explorers. And horses aren't the only thing that explorers brought with them. There were tons of things that we didn't have in America or North America and that Europe didn't have. So again, I'll post these resources for those of you that want to do school at home. I have a picture here of what they call Columbian trade. It's what the early explorers, not just Columbus, brought to the United States or North America, and what they took from North America back to Europe. So they brought horses, but they brought a whole bunch of other things as well. Cattle, sheep, pigs, those before the explorers came. They brought different grains, bananas, fruits, and coffee. And they brought all of that from Europe to North America when they came. And they also took some stuff with them back to Europe. Turkeys, squash, pineapple, avocado, tomatoes, corn, vanilla. None of those things would be in Europe today if not for the early explorers discovering North America and establishing trade lines. So, again, I'll post all these resources if you want to use it at home for a little history lesson. Fancy Faye and I are going to sign off. As of now, the spring session is scheduled to start May 1st, but we'll play it by ear and see when things are safe, and we hope to see everybody back in the barn as soon as it's safe. And if you haven't already sent in your schedule request for the spring session, please do so, and we will talk to you soon.